Hi everybody, Joel from RC Max UK here. Hope you're all good. I've got a new car to show you. This is the ZMT-10 from ZD Racing. It's been sent to me by GearBest, and that is a picture to show you the price. Now, this car was sent to me. GearBest contacted me and just said, do you want to show this? And of course, I'm more than happy to. So, something a bit different. It's a temp scale. You don't get many temp scales on my channel, mostly fifth scales, But anyway, we all started somewhere, and I think that the point of this car for me is it a good starter car? And having looked at it and having used it briefly, I think it could well be quite a good starter car. First things first, look at the box. Basically, just showing you there the features of the car. It's got the usual kind of pictures on there of the shocks and so on. You have got a couple of options when it comes to this car. There is a brushed and a brushless version, and there's a couple of different body colors which you can see there, sort of blue and red, or I got the black and red and white. So and I got the brushless version. I do tend to prefer brushless stuff, to be honest, if I'm going for it. But anyway, moving on here. This is the transmitter. It's a full size 2.4 gigahertz transmitter. And you've got 4 batteries in there, which is good. You do need those. It doesn't come with 4 AA batteries. You've got a nice metallic steering wheel there with a bit of foam surround, which is fairly standard. And you've got your usual trims, which is basically power on off. You've got your steering trim, throttle trim, and your steering dual rate. You've also got your reversing switches there. So that's quite easy, quite simple. There is a port at the back to plug in a charger if you were using rechargeable batteries, and you've got a small stubby antenna. It's not even an antenna, is it? It's kind of a stubby antenna top there. So it's quite durable, I'd say, better than the usual flap around aerials that you do get. You do get a IMAX charger for your LiPo battery, and it does include a LiPo battery that comes with the car. So for that £95 plus delivery, I'm guessing, you do get a charger, a transmitter, 2.4 gigahertz, and a LiPo, and the car. So you're getting everything you need, really. That's the plug that came with it. Obviously, you need an adapter to use that in England. And the charger is a slow charger. It's an 800 milliamp charger, so I'd guess it would take quite a few hours to charge your LiPo battery from that. But it does do 2S and 3S. And it does the job. So basically you get everything you need, although I'd recommend you get a better charger if you want to use the car much, because obviously it's going to take several hours and you're going to have to wait around quite a long time for that to charge your LiPo. But it's there, so that's a good thing. So it comes with everything you need basically in the box. You get a few little extra bits, some sticky foam to secure the ESC, I'd imagine, if the ESC comes loose. Same with these, a couple of cable ties. And you also get these little gears, which I think are for a servo. So if you strip your servo gear, I'm guessing that replaces those. And you also get a few hubs, so front hubs they are. So again, it's good. If you break a front hub, you got those there. You get a very simple sheet just showing you the instructions on the 2.4 gigahertz radio and how to bind it. And then you get your black and white instruction manual. Now, I got to say, this instruction manual is pretty impressive because it basically gives you everything you need to totally rebuild the car. It's an RTR car, so it's already built, but back in the day of the Tamias, and obviously if you get a Tamiya car now and the kits, you would have built this. So it gives you a total rundown on how to build it, which I think is pretty good. And it gives you that option, if you like fiddling about, to rebuild it, or obviously to repair any broken parts. So that's just showing you this sort of suspension action here. I do like suspension myself. It's a bit maybe firm for such a light car, but it's got a nice smooth action, which is good. Maybe the oil is slightly thick, but that's a bit of a change from oil that's too thin on these RTR cars. So you've got full body clips to hold the body on, the fairly standard way of holding an RC body on, and that's the body. It's got quite a nice paint job, and inside it's fairly standard feeling, sort of durability wise. Where you're gonna suffer on a body like this, if at all, is the area of the body post holes. So just showing you the paint job there. It's quite a nice screen printed paint job, standard kind of thing. But yeah, durability wise on these bodies, post holes, which I'm pointing at now, that's the places that you're going to have issues with tears or damage. So I recommend reinforcing those with the usual shoe glue and drywall tape if you're into that. Obviously leave it. If you're not that bothered, leave it. But that's where it's going to go, I think, if at all. So here's a look at the tyres and the wheels. I quite like these wheels. And for an RTR tyre on a temp scale, they're nice and soft, actually. They've got a nice grip. They got foam inside, and the foam feels decent. The actual grip tread feels pretty good, quite soft. And the actual tyres are quite, feel like they've got some grip. So that's decent, actually. I'm quite impressed with that. That's your LiPo battery. It's a 2.4 milliamp hour, so 400 milliamps. And that comes with it, which is obviously a bonus. Secured with this little strap and 2 body clips. If you were using a nickel metal hydride, it's got the sort of the ribs on it, so if you were using one of those. And this is the LiPo that comes with it, so 2,400 milliamp hour. You got your that yellow lead that you can see there. That would plug into that little hole that I've just pointed out, and that's for when you're balance charging it, so that's where you would plug that in. It's a hard case LiPo, which again is good for kind of safety and durability. Dean's connector already on there, and yeah, 25C 2S, so decent. Here's the car. Everything pretty much on it is plastic. You've got the plastic chassis. You've got Phillips head hardware, so it's not Hex hardware, it's Phillips head. And it's quite light. Well, it's very light, in fact. It feels just generally lightweight. You have decent looking shocks, metal shock caps, plastic eyes at the top and bottom. And you've got a threaded body, which is quite a nice touch, rather than the usual spacers to adjust preload. You've got the threads on the shock itself, so that's quite nice. You've got a central metal shaft there and a slipper, so it's not got a center differential. I quite like the way that the front arms are braced. They've got webbing, I suppose, and they're not hollow, so that's quite nice. At the rear, you've got a little bit of that, and then the kind of hollow sections. I suppose to trap less dirt, possibly, is the idea of that. A bit of a hole in the chassis for motor, maybe a bit of cooling. It's a 36 by 50 millimeter motor, so it's quite a small brushless motor, but it's quite a small car, and it's lightweight, so that's not a big issue. I think you could fit a bigger motor if you wanted to. There's a bit of space. You got the plastic shock towers and body posts, and that I pointed out a second ago was the receiver box, which is just sat on top of that central chassis brace, which is quite a nice little box, which has got your receiver and your antenna coming out of it there. So that's quite nicely sealed for dust and water and so on. Steering servo at the front there, laid down. It's quite a sort of, as you can expect at this budget, a relatively slow and not very powerful steering servo. But it seems decent. And again, just a bit of the way the shocks move there. It's quite nice and smooth and silky, which rather than being stiff or bouncy is good. Front end there, you got a nice bumper, which looks pretty durable, braced up to the shock tower. And you have got a little bit of metal on this car, which is basically the hinge pin holders. The hinge pins themselves, of course, drive shafts, the shocks, and there's a motor mount that's also metal. So there is some metal in there. Again, you've got the hinge pin brace at the back, which again is metal. Front here, you've got your drive shafts, and they're a CVD at the wheel, dog bone at the inside end. They're metal drive shafts, which is good, rather than plastic. And at the back, you've just got standard dog bones at both ends. Again, metal drive shafts. The links all round, so the suspension links and the steering links and also the servo links, they're all plastic, and they're all a standard length. So you've got no adjustability whatsoever on the steering for camber or any of that kind of thing. It's all preset. But what you do have in the instruction manual is a list of different length camber rods, which you can get as an upgrade or as options. So you can adjust the camber by getting different rods if you wanted to, which I doubt most people will bother doing. So a quick look at the car here. It's brand new. I've not used it at this point. And yeah, it just looks decent. And I think that the general idea of this is it could make a really, really good first RC car for someone or for a child just to get their teeth into a bit of RC. Right, hello everyone. It's Joel here, RC Max UK. I've got the ZMT-10 Thunder from GearBest, and I've got my mate Jim here, who's going to drive it. I haven't actually driven it yet myself, but
can't wait.
I need to film it. Yeah, yeah. We're used to fifth scales, right? So this is something different.
Well, it should be fun.
Did you start with a temp scale or something?
I've started, yeah, 16th, 10th.
Electric?
Yeah, all electric.
Battery?
Yeah.
Brushed and all that?
The ones that used to charge up for 24 hours and got 2 minutes drive time out.
So we all started somewhere, and this might be a really cool way to start. I think it's less than £100 from GearBest, but I'll have to check. I'll get a link and everything else. So this is Jim driving it for the first time. See how it goes. You excited, I bet?
Oh, I can't wait.
Right, let's go. All right. That's not bad. Come. You hit a tree, Jim, as usual. Oh, that was decent. Right, let's hold it there. What do you think?
Pleasantly surprised, to be honest with you. I mean, the battery, the size of the battery in it should last for about 4 days. It's only got a tiny little motor, but it does the job, didn't it?
It did all right, didn't it?
If I had that when I was 10, I would be chuffed.
You'd be well happy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The suspension's pretty cool.
I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, that's all right. It just needs to move, the servos aren't obviously.
It's servo's weak, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
fine. And to be fair, you're not meant to get it wet. So,
okay.
And it's pretty wet, isn't it?
But also the turning circle's not great, but it doesn't roll, does it?
No,
so that's really cool, really. Like I say, if I was 10 and somebody gave me one of those for Christmas, I'd be really happy.